Yes, and this is.
The product appeared promising. Early data from select markets were in line with projections. Roberto Goizueta confidently stood by his new product, already touting his decision as a success. The celebration was a tad premature, however, as trouble was brewing beneath Coke's triumphant hubris. Soon afterward, the company would find themselves struggling to stay afloat in a tidal wave of backlash, one that spawned right in their own backyard soon.
Simply stated, my friends, we have a new formula for Coke.
Well, the real thing is in for a real change these days. Coca-Cola is altering its 99-year-old secret recipe.
On April 23, 1985, new Coke was rolled out nationwide. Over the next 2 weeks, the remaining supply of the original formula would be phased out of supermarkets and restaurants. The change was paired with an immediate new marketing campaign from company spokesman Bill Cosby.
Ooh, yeah, but that did not age well. That did not age well. Ooh, that did not age well. In case you don't know, he impostered his wife. I don't know a book. I've been laying down someone else, and he wrote a book called Confessions of the Imposter. Confessing his illegal backstabbing of his wife. Yeah, but didn't expect true crime in this video about new Coke. All this stuff was bad marketing. But Bill Cosby? That's a double punch to your reputation, Bear. That's a double... No, nah. Not double. Triple punch to your reputation. And get on with it.
Initial sales of the product appeared promising. Early data from select markets were in line with projections. Roberto Goizueta confidently stood by his new product, already touting his decision as a success. The celebration was a tad premature, however, as trouble was brewing beneath Coke's triumphant hubris. Soon afterward, the company would find themselves struggling to stay afloat in a tidal wave of backlash, one that spawned right in their own backyard. Across its entire operational history, Coca-Cola has been headquartered in or near Atlanta, Georgia, the heart of the American South. It's a part of the country which prides itself on a distinct regional identity, one that often runs contrary to the rest of the U.S. For generations, many Southerners considered Coca-Cola as hallowed as barbecue and college football. It is their bona fide beverage of choice, so much so.
It's basically more famous for NASCAR, which, by the way, they have the most famous NASCAR track in over Daytona. The half-cylinder even. Yeah. So.
But to this very day, many Southerners still use the word Coke to refer to all soft drinks. For as long as they've been in business, Coca-Cola has relied on the South as a sales stronghold. The fierce brand loyalty of the region may have led to complacency among Coke leadership, who developed an expectation that Southern customers would welcome any change with open arms. Following the release of New Coke, this assumption would be proven dead wrong. Shortly after the switch, the prevailing sentiment in the South was one of abject betrayal. For many, it represented yet another pillar of Southern tradition that had been surrendered to the Yankees. Announcing the product smack dab in the middle of New York City certainly didn't help this perception. With the change, Coke had effectively alienated their most die-hard supporters. Emotions among the former faithful ranged from indignant to irate. More than 40,000 letters of protest quickly piled up in Coca-Cola's office mailbox. The Coke hotline was inundated with thousands of distraught callers per day. A company-hired psychiatrist who listened in to some of the messages observed some customers acting as if they had lost a family member. Needless to say, the reaction was much more severe than what was anticipated. Questions immediately loomed as to why the company didn't bother to run more tests in their home market. What little testing Coke did do in the South revealed a narrow preference for the new formula. Company leadership saw this slight majority as justification for the change. What they failed to consider, however, were the 10% of respondents who were vehemently against it. In a controlled survey, people can't influence each other's opinions, but in the real world, it's not that simple. While most people were ambivalent about New Coke, those who disliked it really disliked it. This vocal minority would end up tarnishing the new formula in the eyes of the entire general public. Even if the average consumer didn't personally mind the switch, they likely knew someone who did. This common circumstance led to frequent cases where drinking New Coke could potentially place someone in an awkward social situation. For many, it was simply easier to avoid judgment and order something else. The influence of peer pressure would start to significantly impact sales, as consumers were now hesitant to embrace a product which so many found undesirable. All of a sudden, Coke was facing a major problem, one that extended far beyond the South. People from all across the country were starting to get the impression that for the first time anyone could remember, a Coca-Cola product had missed the mark. New Coke and the swelling controversy behind it had become a national fascination. There's a saying in business that all publicity is good publicity, but for Coke's new formula, it was simply not the case.
Is Coke nervous? Not at all. We've never had more fun in our life. This wasn't a frivolous decision. It's something that we have worked on, John, over the last 4 years.
In the weeks after the debut,